Hi everyone, I'm just doing part 3 of the shabby chic journal that I'm making. It's been a long time coming, so I'm hoping that, whoops, things are crashing. I'm hoping that I can get this finished today. It's made out of the sage and onion stuffing packaging. At some point I've ended up swapping it around to a different side. I think it's because I randomly put the lace on. So since last time I haven't done a lot of changes, a lot more to it, but I have done, oh sorry, let me just move those. I was casting a bit of a shadow. I have done some machine sewing on the actual journal itself, but you don't have to do that. You can just glue the covers down as we did in part 2. And then carry on with signatures and all the rest of it. I want to just add a few embellishments and things to the cover because it is shabby chic. I feel like it just needs a few little extra pretty things on, so I wanted to put some beads on. So I'm just going to start doing that. I do want to put this on the spine that I got from the charity shop the other day. I've got glue all over my hands. So I'm just going to pop some holes in the spine there, so we'll just get an idea. So just wanted to show you as well, when it's flattened out, the cover itself looks a bit wrinkly, but once it's folded up, it's fine. So, and obviously that's what it will be like, so I'm not worried about all the wrinkles and things. I was a little bit, but actually it's fine. So I wanted to put this little, it's like a ceramic like little brooch that I found. I just thought that would look quite cute, maybe that way around. So I'm going to use the awl, I think that's how you say it. So I'm just going to get a rough idea of where. Just got a piece of cardboard underneath. So I think if we go, so how will that go in and then back out again? It won't, will it? I haven't thought this through. It might be better if I try and get that off altogether. Okay. Sorry about that. I just wanted to find the pliers. So I've managed to just take that off completely. So I'm just going to glue that on with the Fabri-Tac, which I think should be fine. It seems to hold it. It's good stuff, so it holds pretty much everything I've tried. So I'm just going to glue that on. Whoops. I've got a habit of taking the main lid off the whole thing for some reason. So let's glue that on. Put that about there, I think. So that's that. Let's just see. Well, it's got movement time. Yeah, I think that's just a nice little embellishment there, isn't it? So pop that out the way. And then also what I have done as well very quickly, because I did forget to do, because I'm doing an internal spine for this one. It's gone all droopy because I've just literally done it. So I've just glued some of this fabric onto a piece of card, and then that's the internal spine ready to have the signatures sewn onto. So that's just drying at the moment, because I forgot to do that in part 2, which I constantly do that. I'm always forgetting to do the spine for some reason. You don't have to do it that way. You can sew straight through, but I knew that I wanted to put little bits and pieces on this one. So you can actually put your, if you are sewing in signatures, you can do it that way. So I've got some beads that I've chosen to put on, and I just wanted to randomly put them. If I move some things out of the way, I am in shot, yes. So I just think if I make a hole, just perhaps, you know, sort of in this sort of area. I'm not sure if that's going to work because I won't be able to see the hole again, will I? This could be interesting. Okay, yeah, so if I do it like this, bring that through, and then where's the, oh, that's attached to that. I did thread some more cotton, well, it's like this silky pink, because I was going to attach some buttons as well, but it looked a little bit too much, so I was thinking I'll just stick with the beads, I think, for now. And I wonder if I can get that back through. Probably not, because I think this is a bit thick for this needle. I'm not sure if this is going to be a particularly easy task. Not with my sewing skills anyway. Is that? Oh, I think I found it. Yeah, there we go. So let's see if we can get that to go on. Obviously, I've got it into a knot. Obviously. Because I've probably got, well, there we go. Let's make sure we don't pull that all the way through yet. I think, I do think it's worth it though. Just putting the odd little bead on. Sorry, I've just zipped forward. I've just zipped forward, if I can get my words out. Just to crack on really with the beads, because I didn't really know how much you would want to watch me attaching those. So I'm just going to put the last one on. I'm not going to put any on the spine or the back. I think I'm just going to leave that as it is. So all I've been doing is using the awl to stab a hole through, threading the needle through that hole, attaching the, oh, that's broken. That hasn't got a hole. This hasn't got a hole. Okay, that's okay. So we'll go with, let's put a little pearly one on. Or should we go shine? Let's go pearl. Okay, that confused me. So yeah, I've just been putting the needle through the hole that I've made with the awl, putting the bead on, and then trying to find that hole again, and then threading the bead on, threading back through to attach the bead like that. And then, oh, that was close. I was trying to get the bead so it's not positioned showing the hole, if that makes sense, but it doesn't always work. So that's why I've just zipped forward really, because it was quite a long process. So that's all I've been doing. So I've threaded those on, and then I've just been tying them individually. I could have carried on with a single thread and just sewn them all on at once, but I was getting into a bit of a jumble. I'm not the world's greatest sewer by any stretch, so I'm very basic. I've got very basic knowledge when it comes to sewing. So what I thought I would do then is, in a minute, I'm just going to go over each where the thread's coming through and just put a dot of glue on each bit, just so that they're extra secure, even though obviously this is all going to be covered anyway. But I just wanted to put an extra dot of glue in a minute. But I've also decided that I want to have a little bit of this sort of net, lacy net, with this, put this button there, which I think is quite nice for the front. So I'm just going to do that now. I've already got some of that silky thread ready because I was going to put buttons on. So that's ready. I'm going to just roughly glue this down. No, I'm not. Yes, I will. I was just thinking I'm going to get glue on the needle, aren't I? I can glue it after. Okay. So I was just going to roughly ruffle that up a little bit. I've had this sort of netty, lacy stuff for a while. I'm not sure where I got it from. So if we get it sort of about there, I do need to put the awl through because this is where the cover's doubled up. So it is quite thick here. And then if I grab that, oh, I'm going to come through this side, aren't I? It's difficult as well when you're trying to film, because you want to just bring this kind of thing close to your face. So I do struggle with that. There we go. There we go. So if I just bring that through, it's kind of shredding the thread. It is that lace, that silky stuff. So I probably won't find the hole that easily. Yeah, I want to just keep bringing the journal up close. Oh, I don't know if I'm going to be able to find the hole. Let's just have a peek underneath. Let me just put that, so if I put that through there, and then this could be a bit messy. Maybe I should have glued it a bit first and let it dry. It's kind of shredded that silky, whoops, now I'm going around one of the beads. Wow, this is, okay, and then if I come back through another hole, let's just see where that comes out. There we go, that's better. And then I'll put that through there. Hopefully this will be worth it. And then find the last of the holes, and then I should be able to just tighten it all up. And then I will go round with some glue just to make sure. Where has that gone? There it is. Okay. So let's see if I can just tighten that all up. Wow, I don't know what I've done at the back here. I'm not sure if that's on. There you go, you can see. So this is looking a bit messy, but this is all going to be covered. And see if I can tighten that up. That's it. And then see if that looks a bit better at the front. I'm not sure if it does, but there's kind of a bubbly bit there. If that could tighten a little bit. I'm tempted to just try and just use normal thread, because I think that looks a bit messy. What do we think? What do we think? I think I might just, yeah, I'm going to undo that. Right. Okay, so I managed to get that off. And I'm just going to use some embroidery thread. because I want it to be thick so that you can see it. I want to be able to see the thread. So let's try again. So we're pushing that through. Hopefully it won't do the same thing. Attach the button. Yeah, I want to be able to actually see the thread. So we'll put that through there. Where's the hole? So that will be for that. There we go. Right way through. It's the thicker part of the journal as well, with all the fabric, so it's quite difficult to do. And then let's go for that top one. Oops. I've changed the needle as well. I've put a thicker needle on. That might not have been the best option, but there we go. Wow. And then we will push. There we go. So that's the last. Yeah, that silky stuff really nice, but it's not practical for what we're trying. I just really wanted to be able to see the thread through. Oh, and it's come off now anyway, off the needle. So this is where we've done that. There we go. So let's just tie that off before the button decides to run away. So I'm just going to double knot that. That's nice and tight on there. So I'll just trim that up, and then I'm just going to go with the glue. I'll move that all away now. I'll just have a little retidy. So I'm just going to blob just a dash of glue on each hole, just to make sure. I mean, they shouldn't come off, but because I've done this onto cardboard, it's made a bigger hole than I need, if that makes sense. So I'll just glue. I think that's everyone. I'm gluing holes there that I've made that I haven't put anything in. So there we go. So we'll let that dry. I'm just going to have a quick retidy, bear with me. Okay, so I've just had a quick reset. I'll just have a sip of my tea. Excuse me. Right, so what we need to do next is make a template of the spine. If I just find some. So it needs to be a template of the spine, the cardboard section, not that inside section, because that's bigger than we need, and that's not big enough. Let me just find some scrap. I've just spent that time resetting and I haven't thought about getting the paper. 1 minute. Let me get some out of the printer. That's it, right. So I just need a template. Just excuse the printer a minute. This size. So if we cut that out, so just ignore the fabric size, it's the actual piece of cardboard. So if I roughly cut this down, so I'll just grab some paper from the printer. Try and use scraps, obviously, if you can, but I'm just sort of grabbed at that then. if I fold that in, if you're folding, if you're going straight through the spine, you don't need to do this. As in, if you're going straight through this, you don't need to make a template. But I'm going to do this sort of secret, hidden spine, sorry, not secret. So is that roughly the size? Just bear with me, let me just get this the right size for you, and then we can do the folding. That just needs trimming a little bit. So I'm going to have 3 signatures in this one. I don't need that at the moment. I don't know why I've got that there. So when this spine's inside the actual journal itself, you'll have seen me do this before if you watched me do the moon journal. That will sit inside there, nice and cosy, like that, with the signatures attached. So that's what we're doing basically. So I've got the scrap, so I'm going to fold that in half. Hopefully this is on camera. So if I just fold that in half, it's difficult because I need it close to my face, so I'm just slightly off. 1 minute. Let me just get that central. So I need to get that in. So this is just so that we know where the signatures will be placed in this spine. So folding it again and in again. So that's 3 folds. So we've done the centre and then the 2 sides. And then I'm going to fold that up to the top so that you've got a middle section there. So I'm starting to lose daylight now, so that's it. So we've got the middle fold there, and then what I do, this is what I do, everyone does it differently. I do a little fold there with it doubled up on itself, like that. So I'll just show you. So you've got the 2 little folds there, and then I bring, so I fold it in half again. This is overcomplicating it really, but so then I bring that up, but not all the way to the top, just to that top fold. That makes sense. So that's your template. So what you're going to do is have your punch holes through these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sections, and that's where your stitches will be basically. And what I'll do now is just so that you can see, so you'll need to punch a hole there, 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 there and there into your spine. So all these that I'm highlighting will have holes. And then everything should all measure up correctly then. So that's where your holes will be. So we'll do that onto the spine now. If we do it that way, I can see that I've got the right position. So if I just grab some try not to knock the camera with my face. So you could use washi tape for this, or I'm just going to use these little clips like that. And then if I grab my piece of cardboard, the awl, and then I'll just punch I think hopefully I'm not blocking that. Sorry, we're getting a bit dark now. If I put the main light on, it kind of casts a shadow, and then I've got one of the circle lights, and then that also casts shadow. So we have super shadows. I will set all that up. I'm probably going to do another video. So punch hole, you'll have seen me do this before. Have I done those? But yes, I've done that. On the, I think it was the Moon Journal. So just punching the holes through. So that was going through the internal spine and our template. There we go. So that should have gone all the way through. There we go. So that's the internal spine, that's all punched, and that's where the signatures will go. So that bit's done. We'll keep hold, we've got to keep hold of that because we need that. So I'll just show you the front as it is at the moment. So I've put all the beads on, and the button, as you've seen, and we've put that on as well. So inside now then, we're going to put the journal to one side. We're just going to start working on our signatures. So I'm doing 3 signatures, 6 pages in each. Let me just put that on. So I've got these lovely envelopes. I'm going to put one of those in. So I've just got a mixture of papers. I've got some papers that I've printed. This is some watercolour paper. I just thought I'd put that in because it could be quite an arty sort of journal. So when you do any signatures, the signature is a group of pages. So just make sure you've got everything with a nice edge to it. And then think about what you want at the front of your, so what you want at the very front of your journal. So we'll sew these in. So don't forget, when you're putting an envelope in, you do need to just cut down the flap of the envelope, because otherwise that'll get sewn down. So just give that a trim. I've managed to get cotton on that for some reason. So we'll trim that down the centre, otherwise that will just get sewn down. And then I'm just going to trim it again just slightly so that it's got that room away from the spine. And I'll do that again. So when you're working through, you're deciding what you want, where you want your signatures and what you want to put in, just have a think about how things are going to open, because I'm forever gluing things down or sewing things down. So then once that's sewn in, that will go sewn in down this spine section here, and then they will both be able to be opened. So that's that. And then the same again with this one. So I'll just chop down that centre section, and then just allow space for the spine again. So just trim that up there, and on the other one. That's what I do anyway. Could be wrong, but it seems to work when I've put envelopes in before. So that you've got that extra space there. So that's those done. So I would like, let's think about my first signature that you're going to see when you first open up the journal. So I think I'm going to go with the music paper. I do want these to be inked, so I'll make a start on that. And I also want all the corners to be, I mean, obviously that's got a rip on it, so that's fine. but I do want all the corners to be rounded. So that's also what you've got to make a decision before you put them in. Yeah, you can do it once it's in, but it's a lot more difficult. So if you have a bit of a plan of what you want to do and before you put your signatures in, then it just makes it a little bit easier. So ink if you want to ink at this stage. If you don't, you can fast forward a little bit. Okay, so I had a bit of a break. I needed to go and put the heating on, but also I've jumped ahead because I think it's just going to be too boring you watching me put the corners on the signatures and put all of the die on. So I've decided I'm just going to do one. I'm going to sew one signature in for you now so you can see what to do. And I just need to grab, I'm using wax thread, but you don't have to. I think I'll go with that one. I had to order some more, so that's a new one. And then grab the needle. I think that one should be fine. So there are lots of different ways to attach the signature to your journal. I tend to do it this way, but I also do sew straight through the main spine as well. There is ways of gluing them as well, which I haven't tried. I'm not sure I 100% trust it. I'm sure there is proper ways of doing it. So now you've got all of your signature the way you want it, as in if you have gone ahead and done the die and the corners, just go through it and make sure it's in the position that you want it to be. So I've just chosen, because this is going to be the first signature that you see when you actually open the journal, I wanted it to be music paper because I just think that's nice. And then I've found some, this is wrapping paper. Then I just thought I'd use some graph paper or maths paper. This is a sheet from a kit that I printed. I think it's shabby chic something, I can't remember. If I can find it, I'll put it in the links. This is a piece of watercolour paper that I've cut with the metal ruler there to give it that sort of edge. And then I'm going to put this little envelope in the centre there of the first signature. So once you're happy that that's all in and where it should be, I don't need the spine at the moment. So you need your template, thread your needle. So I'm just using the wax thread. This isn't I couldn't get the sort that I normally have, so I'm hoping this is okay. I'm sure it's fine. And because we're doing more than one signature, you do need to really do your template, unless you're really good at eyeballing things. So normally when you're cutting your thread, I normally do it the length of the signature twice, so sort of double up on the amount. Put that to one side a second, and then just make sure again that you've got all of your signature where you want it to be. Open that up, and then I'm just putting it on top of the cardboard again. Just position that envelope there. It's funny, when I do things like this, I never seem to have enough space on my desk. I could have it completely clear and it still wouldn't be enough. And then so you're using your centre dots that you've made, the centre section. So just make sure that that's in the centre there, and then open it up. This is how I do it. It's not always right. Things do go wrong, but that is life. And the good thing is that I love about junk journaling is if things do go a little bit wrong, it just adds to the character. That's my excuse anyway. So I'm just using clips, but you can use a bit of washi tape or any sort of tape that can be removed easily. So again with the awl, just pop your holes in where you've on your template. So just pop all your holes in. Then you can get rid of your template. Your holes are in now, down there. Then if you grab your needle, you need your spine, but obviously it's got to be facing that way now. So, and we're going to put it, so you've got a hole here, here and here. It's going to be my front signature. So I'm going to put the signature into there now. So if you grab your signature, now I'm going to, let me think how I'm going to get this to come out. I think I need to go through. So try and keep that as, I probably should have kept some sort of, so I'm going to go through this. So if you can see the holes here, I'm going to go through that one, which is my middle one. Bring that up. Try and keep a tail. The other side, a good amount of, that's it, so a good amount of that. Then you're going to grab your signature and go through your centre hole, which should bring all of the pages through. And then I'm going to go through the next one up and then make that marry up with that hole. Sorry, I have to keep bringing it to my face, sorry. So bring that through. It's not always the easiest, but we get there. So make sure you bring in I actually find it easier to do larger journals because it seems to just sort of be a bit easier. I think this might be the smallest journal I've made actually. So we're stuck somewhere. I think it's because one of these needs pulling through. Could be that one. Oh no, that's the tail. Hold on, there it is, look, it's trapped. So we'll just get that to, there we go, we've got it. I'm trying not to pull the tail through altogether because we'll have to start again. I've been there a few times. Okay, so we've got the other end now. I don't like showing this part because I always make it look more difficult than it actually is. So I apologise, and I hope this isn't putting people off actually doing journals this way, because it is a really nice way of doing it. But I just seem to show it very awkwardly. It's not an easy thing to film. So we're going to go, obviously the envelope's not going to catch all of the holes because that's a smaller piece, but it should be well in. I think it's going to still catch about 3 of the holes there. So I'm just finding that top hole there. Bring that through. It really isn't an easy thing to show on film. It does all work out in the end. I haven't got any strength. My goodness, there we go. We've got it, we've got it. So make sure that's coming through nice and tightly there. We've still got the tail, that's where it should be. And then I like to just, every now and then, just check through the pages and make sure we're grabbing all the pages. And then what I'm going to do next is just pull that tight. I'm going to go back through this hole, but try not to split the thread. So I'm going going to go back through, and then hopefully that's it. So we're coming out the hole, back out the hole without going through the thread, because that makes it get jammed. Okay, and just, that's in the way there. You can tape these things down. That's probably what I should have done. Tape things like that down so you don't damage them. And then I'm going to go through this hole and capture these pages is the plan. There we go. So we've got those. We'll pull all this tight in a second, and then we'll just do this bottom one so that we know everybody's secure. It really isn't an easy thing to show, especially when you need it quite close to your face. And I probably should have made bigger holes, actually. I should have gone further in with the oil. I don't even know if I'm saying that right. I've only just found out the name of it. This sharp tool. Now I'm going to go back through, so if we move the stitch to the side, I'm going to go back through this one. Hopefully I haven't split the stitch, because I want to come back out the middle one. That's it. And then tie it off. But you'll find your own way. This is just me doing it my way, but you can find your own way of doing it if you want to do it this way. Okay, so I'm just going to go, I can get the needle out now. So I'm just going to go, if you have a look down the sides and make sure there's no bulging stitches, anything that shouldn't be. So that all looks pretty good actually. It feels well in. It feels sturdy. So I'm just going to pull these tight as I can. And then tie that off. I'll just do a double knot. That seemed to take long, but that was quite uneventful, thankfully. So I've just double knotted that, and then I'm just going to trim off the thread, and then that's ready for your next one. So you've got your first signature in place. So I'll just grab the journal itself. So that's the front of your journal. This will eventually get glued in once you've done your other signatures, and then you'll have that as your front page basically. Okay, so I'm going to sew the other two in so that you haven't got to go through the agony of me doing that, and I'll be back. Okay, so I've sewn all of the signatures in now. It's starting to really come together. I like how it's looking now. So we've got the front bit done. This is all attached. I've glued them at the back as well, just to make sure that they don't come off, the little beads. So all we're going to do now is glue in the internal spine. So I'm going to go straight ahead and just do that. I'm just going to do that with Fabri-Tac. So I'm just going to get this central section done first. Just put loads of glue on all the way around, and then get that in, and then glue the two fabric sections down either side. So you can see how I've finished off putting all of the signatures in with the same method that I did on the video. But I just finished it off because I just thought once you've seen one being put in, you don't really want to see it again. So I'm just going to put that down. I need to, sorry about all the shadows. I'm afraid the lighting isn't very good because the light is directly above my head. So when you glue in the internal spine, just make sure it's all kind of lined up. I think we can push that up a little bit whilst we've still got some movement there. And then that's going to close without affecting the pages. So that's glued in nicely. Let me just put a big clip there just to hold all of them up. What am I doing? It's like I haven't used a clip before. Oh my goodness. Alright, so I'm just going to clip those out of the way. They are in nicely. So that will probably, realistically, that will be overnight before that's fully. I'm just going to put a little bit in there. Look, that's just popping up a little bit. So glue these side parts down now. Yeah, I haven't glued that down. Look, that's why. Those little flappy bits. So before you do this section, just make sure that there's nothing else you wanted to put on the front cover to sort of hide. But I'm happy with everything we've done on the front cover now. And my closure is just going to be some ribbon tied round. I'm not going to fix anything permanently. I'm just going to use some ribbon. So that should glue down nicely. Okay, so that's that bit done. We've officially got the spine in and the 3 signatures. Each signature's got 6 pages in, so we've got plenty of journaling space. And then I'm just going to measure out the, sorry about the shadows, I'm just going to, with this piece of cardboard, I'm just going to roughly measure out for the front and back cover, because this is going to go on the patterned paper. So I'm just going to cut that out, and then I'm going to cut another one out for the back or the front. I'm just going to go above that because I know I've put a bit extra on, so that should be roughly right. So just do that again. If you've already printed out or using whatever it is you're using for your front and back cover, if you've already printed it on something quite sturdy, then you won't need to do this. I'm doing it because I've only printed it on photocopy paper. So I'm just going to give it an extra bit of weight behind it, really. So let's get rid of that. And then I've chosen for the back, so let's get this round the right way before that's the front, that's the back. So I'm just going to glue, I want that flower at the back, so I'm going to glue this, let me just get rid of that a second. So I'm just going to glue that roughly about there, and then I'll just cut round that and then glue it in the back. This is just to add, like I say, just a little bit of strength really to the front and back cover, although it feels pretty strong anyway. I don't want the Paxo box coming through the design because it's quite a bright box. I mean, you could get away with painting things, you know, if you wanted to. I think it's roughly there we wanted it, wasn't it? So I'll just cut that out. So that's the back cover done. Hopefully on that long, and we've got the flowers showing still. I am going to do the corners, I think, and I'm going to ink this. We really are nearly done, so but again, it depends on what you want your final journal to look like. Oh, we did manage to get those in, so that's good. Let's get rid of that. I'll just quickly ink that before I forget to do it. And then I'll show you what I'd like on the front cover. And then obviously in time you can start adding pockets, belly bands, side tucks. You could leave a lot of blank. What I have done with this journal, what I do tend to do anyway with journals, I don't do double-sided printed sheets. So I think that should fit in quite nicely into there. Whoops, I've got to remember that's just been glued. I'm pulling on the whole lot then. So that will be glued in a second. So that's nice, I'm happy with that. And then we'll just do, let me just pop that to one side again. I keep holding it by the pages and I've just glued them in. And then I thought this lovely rose for the front page, for the front cover. The internal front cover. I'll get it right in a minute. So let's try and remember to glue that in that top corner there. So I'm just going to cover this with glue. And then make sure it's all around the edges. Like that. I could have done the corners before and cut everything out, but there we go. So let's just hopefully get that lovely rose in. I'm not going to look until I cut it out. It's too late now. Yeah, because I just printed these out on copy paper, so... And I think the Paxo box would have shown through, possibly. It's quite thick copy paper, to be fair, but I'll just cut that bit there. Oh yes, okay, that's nice. I'm happy with that. So let's get rid of those. Let's do the corners for that one. I'm sorry this video is turning out to be really long, even though I have cut a lot out, but I just wanted to get this journal finished with you, because I've got lots of other things going on and I didn't want this lovely little journal getting forgotten about. So again, just ink around the edges if that's what you want to do. And then we'll get this front and back cover glued in, and then I'll leave it overnight, and then I will start working on the inside, but that'll have to be section 4. Because this video will just be too long now. It's feeling quite heavy now, this little journal. So again, I'm just going to cover with some glue. You might be able to hear the washing machine in the background, sorry. Whoops. So just get that covered. I am sorry about all the shadows. I do find those just that way up, wasn't it? Yeah. I find I've got one of these circle lights. I find them really too bright. I suppose I haven't got to shine it in my face, but so just when you're putting your front and back cover in, just make sure that you're not interfering with the fold. So make sure that you bring that enough forward, because otherwise you'll get a bend in your page. It might look a bit scruffy, but that's okay. I've done that before and I've covered it with ribbon, so it's not the end of the world if that does happen. There's always a way of disguising something, especially in junk journaling. that's it. So that's come up really nicely actually. And then we'll do the same at the back. Let's get that finished. And then we have essentially finished this little journal. I'm just going to add some little bits and things inside on on part 4. And then I'll do a flip through. But I want to leave this really overnight because I will keep pulling at those pages, and they have just gone in. So if you try and bring it towards this section, sort of the right hand side, so like I say, you don't want that to really be on the fold. If you try and bring that forward, that's it. It's not touching that now, so that's come out nicely. And that is your front and back in. Let me just put that on. Whoops. So what I'll do now, overnight, I'll just leave, let's just get all those off. I won't fiddle around with it too much more now. Excuse me. Just making sure that does take. So I'm going to flatten it out like that, and then I've got a big box of die cuts. I'm just going to put that on it overnight, and then in the morning that should be ready for us to do things with. I will just quickly show you a couple of the pages that I have done. I did fold some of them in half again and just put some ink down them just to make them look really aged, which I haven't done before. I just thought that would be quite nice on some of the pages, just to fold them in half like there. And these patterns that I've done there, I just thought that would just age them a little bit more. So that's that. So I'll leave it here. Thank you for tuning in. I'm sorry it's been such a long video. So that's the end of part 3 of the Shabby Chic Junk Journal made from a Paxo box. Part 4 very, very soon. Thank you very much.